Ex-Metropolitan Police Commissioner Lord John Stevens has come out and said that current Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley must get rid of at least a quarter of the senior officers and stamp out Wokery in order to reform Scotland Yard. It's amazing how the public have been saying this for ages, but as soon as someone with a title says it, it gets reported on. Now, don't get me wrong, I certainly don't think anything will come of this, because we've heard it all before. Inspector of Constabularies Andy Cook, ex-Merseyside Police Chief, said something similar recently, and having the power to do something about it, but in fact not doing anything about it, other than spewing a few words, indicates that these people are simply trying to get a few minutes in the public eye again. Otherwise, they wouldn't simply talk about it, they'd do something about it. As we all know, many low-level offences are simply ignored now by the police, not just the Met but across the country, especially when the Home Office tells them that they need to up their statistics in other areas. But Lord Stevens has allegedly also called for low-level crime to be taken seriously. But to be clear, when I say low-level offences, I mean criminal damage, car thefts, and indeed thefts from cars themselves. But Lord Stevens has said low-level crimes such as disorder, such as prolific shoplifting, antisocial behaviours and aggressive beggars. To be fair, they would probably have the time and resources to deal with most, if not all, of the low-level offences if they stopped pandering to minority groups and sending a small army to tell someone their thinking is off or the words that they've used could upset somebody. Lord Stevens was head of the Metropolitan Police from 2000 to 2005 and apparently was chief of police in both New York and Los Angeles, which seriously makes me wonder how we have descended into such a state where free speech is now frowned upon. In a new policing report called Policing Can Win, Lord Stevens recommends an urgent and major turnaround of the Met, telling incoming leader Sir Mark Rowley that there must be a reversal of the hollowing out of neighbourhood policing. The Commissioner will need to prove to the people of London that under his leadership, every single act of crime or disorder matters, every individual matters, and every neighbourhood matters. Stevens urges Sir Mark to stamp out woke gestures and impartiality, saying the only way different communities can have faith in the police, or that the police are doing so fairly, is if the public are confident that police officers are acting with unimpeachable impartiality and humanity. Even a perception that an officer's decision-making might be influenced by a partisan political view could be damaging to the public's confidence that policing is being done fairly. That recent polling in the UK found that the public were almost twice as likely to agree than disagree with the statement that the police are more interested in being woke than solving crimes should concern us all. In the report, it recommends that during the new Commissioner's first 100 days, he should axe at least a quarter of the top chief police constables after a survey published last October found that only 39% of Metropolitan Police constables even have confidence in senior leaders. It goes on to recommend that the number of commanders in the force should be reduced from 19 to no more than 11, while the Deputy Assistant Commissioners' roles should be cut from 10 to no more than 6. Now, I'll be honest, I had no idea they had 10 Deputy Assistant Commissioners. I mean, have you ever heard of anything as ridiculous? What other organisation has as many Deputy Assistants? Bear in mind that they also have Assistant Commissioners. Just to give you an idea of how much it's costing the taxpayer, Deputy Commissioners earn approximately £235,000 per year. Assistant Commissioners earn approximately £200,000 per year, and Deputy Assistant Commissioners earn approximately £150,000 a year. 10 current Deputy Assistant Commissioners alone is costing 1.5 million. So you're likely looking at around 3 million just for the lot of them, and that's just in their wages. Lord Stevens has also suggested overhauling the police vetting process with random drugs tests and re-vetting on an annual basis, which would include scrutinising officers' social media. Now, where have we heard that suggestion before? Oh yeah, right here on the channel. Stevens said that the Met has been in a permanent crisis over recent years. A programme of radical reform is required. Everything needs to be on the table, even changes previously dismissed as being too radical. Every Londoner is counting on Sir Mark and his team to succeed. Well, unfortunately, we've counted on every commissioner to succeed so far, but unfortunately, as soon as they seem to take the job, they seem to be politicised, whether they were before but hid it until they took the role, or whether there's some other influencing factors, such as the Home Office or the Home Secretary. But it's blindingly obvious that every Met Commissioner, and in fact every police chief constable across the country, is politically motivated, wants to please the Home Office with statistics rather than please the public with action. And until we see police standing firm to their oath and the principles of policing without selling out to the government, then it's highly unlikely that any police commissioner is going to manage to get the public back on side with them and rebuild the lost trust.